Today we've got AFOX in the house and we're looking at their NVIDIA RTX 3050 graphics card with 8 gigs of memory. Okay, the front of the box, it says AFOX on there, tells you graphics by NVIDIA, NVIDIA GeForce, Pure Video HD and so forth. This is the usual thing we've seen from AFOX. It's the traditional box they tend to use, and they just change the sticker on the front, which says RTX 3050 8GB GDDR6. On the back of the box, you've got information and specifications on there. One strange thing is they mention about GeForce RTX 20 series, 16 series and 10 series, but they don't actually mention about 30 series on the back. So inside the box, we've got the quick installation guide, which is multilingual. In all reality, it's 4 bullet points for each language, and that's it. You've got a product catalog as well, so if you're looking at buying something else from them, like another graphics card, a motherboard, RAM, you can see it in there, so it gives you a rough idea. Otherwise, you've got the graphics card, which came in an anti-static bag. So let's have a look at the card. Let's go through some of the specifications though. So this has obviously a GeForce 3050 in here. All the GeForce 3050s on the market are generally pretty much the same with different cooling on it. This is a PCI Express 4.0 connection on the bottom, which is pretty much standard these days, but obviously if you're using an old board, if you're using PCI Express 3, then you might find it doesn't perform as good. So it's got 2,560 CUDA cores. The video memory is 8 GB of GDDR6 memory, running at a base clock of 1,552 MHz with a boost clock of 1,777 MHz and a memory clock speed of 14 GB per second, and the interface is 128-bit and so forth. This will work on Windows 7 and above, but in all honesty, if you're running Windows 7, you should be thinking of upgrading because it's unsupported these days. Maximum resolution, according to them, is 7,690 by 4,320 at 120 Hz, which contradicts what it says on the box. You've got one HDMI connection on the back, as well as 3 display ports. They're just hidden under these plastic bits here, so you can see they're all there, so you can connect up multiple displays if you wanted to, which is pretty good and pretty standard in all honesty. So obviously you've got HDCP support on here, and it'll do your HDR and all your different bits and bobs like that, well, pretty much any graphics card. Now let's go down to the design. So it doesn't look like there's any RGB lighting or anything on here on this, so it's pretty much a straightforward value card. It does have a little bit of design work. It's got these 4, or should I say these blue markings on here, which looks nice, but it may contrast your case if you're having it on a different color or something like that. But in all honesty, in most cases, unless you're vertically mounting it, you're not going to see any of the artwork on there anyway. You do have 2 stickers in the center on the fans. Fans look pretty standard, to be honest with you. Don't look like anything special. Now if you go to the top of the card, you can see it says GeForce RTX. Doesn't look like there's any lighting on there or anything like that, and you can see some of the components right behind the heatsink and the fans and so forth. You've got a few cables there, obviously, to attach the fans, and you've got your 8-pin connection there. So make sure when you're connecting your 8-pin up, you're not using any adapters like Molex adapters or 6-pin and a 6-pin to 8-pin, because generally the voltages aren't right. So you need to make sure it's you're using a direct cable from your power supply which fits in here without adapters, otherwise it could be a fire risk. On the back of the card, you do have some venting along the back on the metal plate, which is good that it has got a metal plate on there, but the metal plate doesn't actually seem like it's got anything attached to the actual PCB board, so no thermal pads or anything like that. So really it's just there for looks. It's a shame, because if they put some thermal pads connecting to that, it would help dissipate some of the heat, which could potentially help it overclock a little bit better if you wanted to. So you've got vents basically down both sides. The vents from on this side will allow some of the airflow from the fans to escape out the back as well, but it's not really designed as a flow through like you get on a lot of the higher end models. Otherwise, that's pretty much it. There isn't a lot really to say. It's a GeForce 3050, which, to be honest, should be good enough for most people doing HD gaming, but as I said, most 3050s on the market are very similar. The only usual difference is how the cooling is set up on them. So down to testing. First of all, we're going to do 3D mark tests. These are obviously synthetic tests, so they're not really 100% accurate to 100% gameplay. But as you can see here, you've got various different scores, and we've got overclocking scores as well. And in all honesty, it performs just like any other 3050 out there, and it gives you a little bit of headroom if you do want to overclock it. We're able to get around about anywhere between around about 5%, 6% roughly average benefit on overclocking. Okay, down to actual games. First one we tested was Cyberpunk 2077. Now, bear in mind, all testing was done at HD, and we put it on the top preset, so that would be Ultra or High or whatever. Cyberpunk we tested with ray tracing turned on, so it gives you a rough idea. It is capable of running it. You might find a few dips in places. In all honesty, I'd probably turn the ray tracing off to get a better result, and it'll be a bit smoother. It does, ray tracing is pushing it a little bit on a 3050 in all honesty. GTA 5 was absolutely fine. It run at a constant near enough 60 frames per second all the way through. Total War Warhammer 3, again we're getting around about that 50 frames mark, so 49. Again, this is on ultra high settings, so I would suggest probably turning that down probably to medium or something to get slightly smoother. Civ 6, obviously the score lower the better on that, was basically 10 on there for the actual frame time. And Far Cry 5 ran absolutely fine at 104 frames per second, obviously on average. The word dips on all of them, but this is an average, and again we're running stuff on the top preset, so most of the time you'll probably be running things between medium and high, not on ultra or extreme, so it gives you a rough idea. Otherwise, the card does everything it should do. It performs very well, no issues with overheating or temperatures. The temperatures were pretty cool. I think the hottest we got it using Thermalt was 74 degrees and 81 degrees when we overclocked it, and that was in a confined case, so there shouldn't be any issues with heat there, especially if you've got a good airflow. So what can I say about it? Otherwise, it does everything it should. It's really good, really cool. There's no extras on there, but obviously because there's no extras, you're getting more for your money, as in you're not spending as much on just to get a few extra LED lights and stuff like that. So I would highly recommend this card. I hope you enjoyed this AFOX video. I know I did. Why not check out some other AFOX products we've reviewed in the past by pressing this box just here. Yep, that one right there. Otherwise, give us a like, thumbs up, you know the usual drill, and we'll see you next time.